party, foreseen beyond the coalition that he campaigned under, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I must commend the cabinet secretaries who came from ODM. The Honorable John Buddy, the Honorable Pio Andai, the Honorable Joho, the Honorable Oparanya, even the Honorable Askul. These are cabinet secretaries who are serving this country with diligence, with integrity, and with commitment to the people of Kenya. You do not serve as a cabinet secretary to serve the president of the day. You serve the people of Kenya.
All right, moving on to matters healthcare. Health Cabinet Secretary Dr. Deborah Barasa has assured Kenyans that operations at Kenyatta National Hospital have returned to normal following a system failure that disrupted services on January 14th and 15th. This comes after a group of patients interrupted her press briefing to express frustrations about delays and inefficiencies in the system. Speaking to the media after visiting Kenyatta National Hospital on Thursday, January 16, Barasa acknowledged their grievances and reiterated the ministry's dedication to addressing concerns raised by the public.
And also the CEOs for the wonderful work that is ongoing, and we want to assure Kenyans that synergy within the ministry, collaboration is continuing. Now today we have come just to assess the situation following the incidents and the concerns as well as grievances by Kenyans regarding the system interruption, and we acknowledge, yes, there was a system interruption which is common with any system, as we can see, not only in Kenya but globally. And so having identified the system interruption, we've been able to first visit the labor ward as well as the maternity area. We have also seen the billing and discharge area in this facility, and we are happy to report that the system is up and running following great work. There was tireless and endless work among the technical team. I had instructed them to look at interventions to ensure that we don't have any kind of system interruption, have an alternative in case it do so happens. And we are happy to report to Kenyans that yes, we have an alternative system, and we have experienced and seen that there is no system interruption. The incidents occurred on the 14th and 15th up to 10 a.m. and the backlog has been sorted. Patients have again are receiving seamless services, and I want to assure Kenyans that health services will continue in the National Referral Hospital and other facilities, and will ensure that the services are seamless. Equally, we want to really apologize on behalf of the ministry for the challenges that our patients faced. As we had said earlier, this government is a people-centered.
On the same breath, the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers, that is KUCO, now want the Ministry of Health to revisit SHIF treatment terms, which they claim has made it difficult for them to attend to patients, citing tedious process of seeking authorization from authorized medical officers under the KMPDC, which they cite as the main reason depriving many Kenyans full access to medical services in lower government health facilities. Speaking at a press conference held at Embu Level 5 Hospital, the clinical officers led by George Kibore, Secretary General of Kenya Union of Clinical Officers, now want the Ministry of Health to give both clinical officers and nurses a green light to treat and attend to patients covered by the SHA without seeking tedious approvals from licensed medical doctors in charge, saying many level 3s and 2s are mostly managed by nurses and clinical officers.
Officers of the government in the Ministry of Health have decided to violate the existing laws, and to that extent directing verbally what they feel that it is good, and if they feel that this is going to enhance service delivery, what they ought to do is to legislate. And now before they do that, the clinical officer will be starting their strike to enforce the law and order. And I must say, the second item of this is also similar, because we have had history with the government going on strike on the issues of promotion, seeking that they provide what is provided under the law, like comprehensive medical cover, and also ensuring that they can be able to treat people equally.
Na jambo la kusikitisha ni ya kwamba rais anasema SHA lazima ifanye kazi, lakini tumeona makatela ambao wameshika doria pale Ministry of Health ambao ni members wa KMPDC. wamesema ya kwamba hakuna mtu mwingine anastahili kutumia SHA isipokuwa the only doctors. Kwa Ministry of Health tuko na different categories, ama tuko na wahuduma wa afya wa vitengo tofauti tofauti ambao wamesomea vitu tofauti tofauti. Tuko nao wale wanaitwa medical doctors, tuko nao wale wanaitwa dentist, tuko na clinic officer ama maafisa wa kliniki, tuko na nurses na wengineo. Lakini kwa Ministry of Health ikiwa imeongozwa na waziri, wamesema ya kwamba it is only doctors can be allowed to use SHA. Mwananchi anajua kwamba ukifika pale hospitali kwa level 2 unapata nurse, unapata clinic officer. Ukifika level 3 unapata nurse, unapata clinic officer. Ukifika level 4 unapata nurse, a clinic officer ndio anafanya huduma, a medical doctor yeye ni administrator level 4.
Right, moving on to matters politics. Kenya Governor Anne Waiguru has asked people from the Mount Kenya region to reject any attempt by a section of leaders to drag them out of government. Waiguru said people from Kirinyaga will not abandon Kenya Kwanza government for the opposition, noting that some sweet-talking politicians out of their selfish interest are busy trying to hoodwink people from the region to leave government. The governor said that all leaders hold public positions in trust and no one should hold their country at ransom for losing their seat. Waiguru also urged leaders in Mount Kenya region to stop ongoing politicking and instead focus on fulfilling their development promises to the people.
Tumesema kama watu wa Mount Kenya, ndio kuna siasa ambazo zinaenezwa ambazo ni za kutoa Mount Kenya katika serikali. Na mimi kama gavana wa Kirinyaga na kama mmoja wa viongozi ambao ni wakuu Mlima Kenya, mimi nitasema hivi, na sipendi sana kuongea siasa kila siku kwa sababu tuko katika mhula wa kazi. Mimi kwanza niulize hawa watu wangu kwa sababu ya kamera. Kazi ambayo inafanywa Kirinyaga mnaiona ama hamuioni? Mnaiona ama hamuioni? Kazi inaongea ama haiongei? Kama tunataka kazi iendelee kuongea, tukue watu werevu. Tumesema kama nyumba yetu ile kubwa iko na mashimo, sisi hatubomoi nyumba, ni mashimo tutaziba. Si ndio watu wa Kirinyaga? Hivyo ndivyo tumesema. Alafu pia viongozi wengine hapo wamesema, sisi kwa Kikuyu tunasema watoto wakija waulize mama, baba yangu ni nani? Hauwezi ambiwa baba yako ni huyu anza kusema hapana sio yeye. Kwa sababu mwenye anajua baba ya mtoto ni nani? Mama. Ni mama. Mimi nikuwauliza kama watu wa Kirinyaga, nikiwaonyesha njia mtafuata? Mtafuata njia ambayo tutawaonyesha? Ndio tulete maendeleo Kirinyaga? Hebu nionyesheni kwa mkono ambao watakuwa wanafuata.
And moving on, Kenya National Union of Nurses in Mombasa want the Ministry of Health to heed to their demands if they are to go back to work. Speaking outside the Coastal Region Training and Referral Hospital, where they held their demonstrations to mark the beginning of their strike, the Mombasa branch chairman Eric Otieno noted that the strike notice they had issued had elapsed and are officially on the strike until their demands are met. With their demands include the permanent and pensionable contracts for the UHC nurses and redesignation. At the same time, the branch secretary Emily Kurosoi reminded those seeking medical attention to do so, keeping in mind nurses are not on duty.
We have had issues. What has brought us here is because of strike. We gave our strike notice on 17th and it elapsed on 13th. That's why we are out today. This is our third meeting. We started on Monday, Tuesday, and now we are here again. The issues that we are talking about are not new because they are issues that we have been following up all along from back 2021 rolling. But now where it has reached us, imetufikisha kwamba now we have reached the dead end and we come out. We have been talking, but still we have not been able to actualize. So these are some of the issues. Among them, we have redesignations. There are some of us who have gone back to school. They have gained more experience, more training, they have come back, but they have not been placed rightfully as per the guideline. Among them, some are also issues about the UHC nurses. Yeah, these are people that have been engaged by the ministry but are serving the county, and we are asking that they also need to be absorbed PNP because what they are paid is not commensurate by what they are supposed to, the service they are giving.
I want to make this clear. It's only the nurses who are on strike. The clinical officers are there. The doctors are there. So the people who are out are only nurses. So if they want to go to the hospital, the patients to go and to be seen, doctors are there and clinical officers are there. They can go and be seen by them.
The last mile connectivity program underway aims at connecting an additional 1 million customers in 2025 and 2026 period. The government is also addressing issues affecting power generation and evacuation to ensure reliability of lighting for households and industry. Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki received an update of status of ongoing and planned last mile power projects across the country from the State Department for Energy and senior officials from Kenya Power and Lighting Company, that is KPLC, and Rural Electrification and Renewable Energy Corporation. And on Thursday morning, the Deputy Chief of Staff embarked on performance evaluation for the National Social Security Fund, that is NSSF, for the 2023-2024 financial year. This evaluation is informed by performance contracts that the fund signed for the same activity period. The key parameters under the evaluation include membership contribution levels, employee coverage levels, benefit processing timeliness, and return on investments, among others.
We are here to undertake performance evaluation for the fund for the period 2023-2024. You did sign a contract for that period with very, very clear interventions, the programs and activities that you intended to undertake. And for each and every one of those programs and activities, we had very clear expected outputs, the output indicators, and the time-bound targets. Those commitments were geared towards ensuring that there is growth and retention in the level of contributions. You also intended to increase the coverage of informal sector through strategic alliances and partnerships. You intended to generate competitive investment returns.
All right, moving on. A young girl who had to drop out temporarily from her secondary education after falling pregnant has surprised many by achieving a B- grade in the national KCSE exam. This is after being given second chance through the Helping Hand to Teen Mothers program run by the spouse of the governor, Kakamega, Professor Janet Kasili Barasa. Speaking in the Butere region when he visited Dorcas Itoni, one of the beneficiaries of the program, Professor Kasili expressed her joy at Dorcas' success and emphasized the importance of education as a tool to change lives. In addition, she called on the national government to increase funding for bursaries to help more needy students achieve their educational dreams. Dorcas, who has restored hope in her family, dreams of studying nursing.
Mimi ni mzazi pia. Tafadhali tuwaelekeze watoto wetu kwa njia mzuri. Kuna majaribu mengi hapa katikati, especially teenagers. Majaribu ni mengi, hasa kwa watoto wasichana. Tuwaelekeze vizuri. Na watoto wavulana nao pia tuwaelekeze vizuri, kuambia kwamba wakae na watoto wasichana wenzao kama their sisters, not their wives. Wakae nao kama sisters and not their wives, ili waweze kupita kuendelea na masomo yao, wamalize kwanza. Kwa sababu imagine kama mtoto wako ndiye amefanywa hivyo, utakasirika. Na wewe mbona uharibu wa mwingine? So wanaume, nataka tushirikiane, tusaidiane ili watoto wetu wote wasome, watoto wasichana wasome, watoto wavulana wasome.
Nashukuru gavana wetu wa Kakamega kwa sababu bila yeye singepata mama. Na nashukuru mama sana. Yaani hiyo programu yenye ulitoa ni ikanipata, ikanitoa kwa mchanga, ni ikaniinua. Nashukuru sana.
These girls have a potential to explore, and therefore we urge that this girl continues to undertake her career. Tunataka arudi kama arudi nyumbani, watu wajivunie. This village will not remain the same. Mama, ukisomesha msichana, umeelimisha mji yote.
I'm grateful to the Almighty God for where I am today, and I'm grateful to Professor Janet for her program, A Helping Hand to Teen Mothers. It has really changed my life. Like, I feel like my dream of becoming a nurse is soon to become true, and it's all thanks to her.
Right, on the same breath, 11 students whose 2024 KCSE results were cancelled at Nyaminia Secondary School in Jem, Yala Sub-County, will now be given a second chance. According to the school's new principal, Thomas Obura, those students will be allowed to resit the examinations in July, courtesy of the new arrangement that has now been introduced by the Kenyan National Examination Council. Nyaminia Secondary School, which had an enrollment of 181 candidates in last year's KCSE, only received 170 results after 11 were cancelled due to alleged involvement in exam malpractice. He stated, however, that as an institution, they have already made plans to accommodate the 11 students whose results were cancelled so that they can sit the exams afresh under the new arrangement that will see some students sitting for the examinations in July this year.
One would ask what happens to the 11 who had Ys. We have sat as members of the board, and also during our senior management team meeting, we resolved that we are going to recall the 11 so that they can come and repeat, so that hopefully they can sit for KCSE in July. And I really want to thank the government for this new arrangement, because initially they would wait until probably the end of the year, but this time around we are going to give them a chance so that they can give it a second attempt. We expect them to be back here by Monday next week, so that we can start off with the rest of the other students. I want to thank our current Form 4 candidates, plus all the other students, for being calm.
All right, moving on to some sad story now. A 30-year-old man stabbed his wife to death, then turned the knife on himself in Kabuareng village in Nandi South, following a domestic conflict where the two died instantly. According to the police report, Hanise Simani Juma stabbed his wife Winnie Akusuha, 30-year-old, at her parents' home in Musasa, making several cuts on her neck, shoulders and hands, where she died on the spot due to overbleeding. The man took rat poison before slitting his neck, where he also died shortly. The bodies were taken to Jumuiya Friends Kaimosi Hospital mortuary as police begins investigation. Nandi County Police Commander Dixon Jogo has confirmed the incident, saying DCI and other security agents have already visited the scene to enable establish exactly what really led to the murder incident and the suicide of the two couples at the wife's parents' home in the kitchen. The two have left behind 2 children, a boy and 2 girls, who have now been total orphans at younger ages. Right, quite unfortunate right there. And moving on, several families have been left counting losses after a fierce fire gutted down their homes at Nkare, Kitengela, Kajiado County. The 9 p.m. Wednesday fire is said to have been caused by a candle before it quickly spread to other houses. Occupants of the 9 rental Mabati houses did not salvage any household items. Devastated victims say when the fire broke, neighbors focused on waking up others who was already asleep. Some say to have escaped burning by luck since they were deep asleep. Victims say most neighbors who responded promptly focused on taking photos and videos of the expense of helping putting off the fire. Kitengela fire engine, which arrived at the scene 30 minutes later, is said to have helped put off the fire before spreading further. The families now appeal to well-wishers and the county government emergency department to aid them with bedding and foodstuff.
Mimi nilikuwa kwa nyumba, nilikuwa nalala mtoto wangu. Mtoto wangu anaona moto hapa juu, ananifuruta, ananiambia mama tutoke. Mimi nikaona hakuna kitu, nikaangalia nikaona moshi. Akaniambia mama tutoke. Tukatoka na manguo zenye tulikuwa tumevaa. Tulikuwa tumevaa manguo tu kwa na kitu kingine. Vitu zote zimeharibika zote, hatuna hata chochote. Na mimi ni mwanabiashara. Nilikuwa nafanya kazi na hii lori kwa pale. Nilikuwa nauza mayai, mzee wangu ni ule pale. Sisi hatuna tegemeo, hatuna kitu kingine, hatunanga kazi. Kazi ni hiyo tu, na tuko na watoto na wako shule. Na sisi mimi naomba tu usaidizi, mnisaidie tupate mahali pa kulala na tumtumbai hata chakula. Hatuna hata chakula tangu jana, hata tujakula. Hatuna chochote. Tunaomba tu usaidizi, tusaidiwe mahali penye tunaweza kaa. Tumbaiwe kitu, mattress, kitanda. Tuone venye maisha itasonga. Juu hata maya yangu imeharibika yote, nilikuwa nimenunua hapo Kiletini za kazi. Singeweza kuenda kazi juu troli imeharibika yote.
Hakuna kitu tumeokoa. Watu walitoroka, kila mtu ile nguo alikuwa amevaa akatoroka akakimbia. Vitu zote zimechomeka kwa nyumba, mpaka mahindi, everything, kila kitu. Lakini after 30 minutes kisima moto ndio ilikuja ikatusaidia kusima moto na moto ikapungua. So hakuna, hao watu walikuwa hapa, hakuna mtu ako na mahali ya kulala. Tunahitaji usaidizi kutoka kwa serikali, tunahitaji chakula, kuna wengine wao hawajakula. So tunahitaji serikali muweze kutushika mkono, muweze kutusaidia. Ile nyingine nashukuru kwa ile sima moto ilikuja after 30 minutes ikatusaidia kusima moto. Lakini ile kitu mimi nashangaa, county hakuna mtu ameshafika hapa, watu wa county. Sasa ninashukuru sana. Asante.
Mwanzo wa moto ulikuwa kando lilianguka kwa mattress. Sasa ile kupata mattress kupata moto. Then hapa ndani kulikuwa na gas kama hivi. Pia naye sasa moto ukawa mwingi sana. Sasa hata kusema ikakuwa shida ama kuokoa kitu yote.
All right, let's take a look on what's making headlines on the dailies today. And today I'm having the Daily Nation, the Star newspaper, and the Standard newspaper dated the 17th of January 2025. Let's take a look on news making headlines on the Daily Nation today. And the judiciary under siege is the main title in the Daily Nation. And there is a picture of the Supreme Court judges that is Isaac Lenaola, Dr. Smokin Wanjala, Philomena Mwilu, Martha Koome, Mohamed Ibrahim, Njoki Ndongo, and William Ouko at the Supreme Court building. That picture was taken on January 20 of 2022, and it continues to say at what started as a social media fueled protest against alleged graft in one of the Kenya's most hallowed institutions has snowballed into a push for removal of some of the country's most senior judges. The Judicial Service Commission is now set to convene and discuss the elephant in the room, petitions for removal of judges following months-long attacks by a section of senior lawyers and litigants over alleged corruption in the corridors of justice. And you remember, actually this week, or maybe probably last week, Mother Koome was asked to resign, and she said she is not resigning, right? Moving on, alarm as hundreds fails to report to universities of a funding crisis. Many first and second year students in public universities are yet to report to various campuses for the second semester as uncertainty persists over the release of government funds for their upkeep. Despite the Higher Education Laws Board, that is HELB, holding billions of shillings, a court ruling that nullified the new funding model last December has frozen disbursements. And you'll remember, actually this particular week, UON, that is the University of Nairobi, students led by the president took to the streets saying that there is some delays in disbursing the HELB funds, which they say is interfering with their education, and of course students who come from underprivileged backgrounds. Moving on, date 20 December, date High Court ruled the funding model unconstitutional, citing discrimination and insufficient support to students, leaving many uncertain about their education. We hope that the HELB, and of course the government, will do something on that, at least to help the younger generation. Moving on to matters politics, Muturi continues to bear it all. Public Service CS says he became a victim of a political lynch mob following President heckling in Embu. Of course, that's a story that you can get it on page 8 of the Daily Nation, dated today, the 17th of January. Moving on to matters health, woman's journey of pain and resilience. The past 14 years have been tough for Joyce Ogombe, who is fighting for her life in Kenyatta National Hospital. Of course, that story, you can get it on page 2 and 3. And speaking of matters health, of course, today we actually saw the Ministry of Health, led by Dr. Deborah, saying that the SHA system is now working. Just a day before that, we saw patients moving to the Ministry of Health boardroom in the middle of a meeting, of a press conference, of course, saying that the SHA health service is not working, right? That's so unfortunate, and we hope it will be resolved. Moving on, Bungei moved in police shake-up. Adamson Bungei, the Nairobi chief police, who led his colleagues in clamping down on protests last year, has been transferred following administrative changes made by Inspector General Douglas Kanja. And of course, that's the story. You can get it on page 12 of the Daily Nation. Bungei Resila moved in first major changes by IG Kanja. Nairobi police boss promoted to despite heavy criticism over excessive use of force during protest. Right, let's move on to the Standard newspaper dated today. And the Judicial Service Commission to consider plea to kick out Koome, 8 judges. The Judicial Service Commission says it is looking at 4 petitions seeking the removal of 9 judges presiding over cases at the Supreme Court and the High Court. Of course, that story, you can get it on page 7 of the Standard newspaper. MPs live up to their laundry tag yet again. Members of the National Assembly had no problem giving Ruto and the nominees he picked without much consideration, putting to question their role in the appointing process, even as the president hopes the team will not steady the Kenya Kwanza ship, but also deliver the plan. Of course, that's a story, you can get it on page 6 and 7 of the Standard. Moving on, abductee. That is Bernard Kavuli, I beg your pardon, says, I was beaten, stripped, and starved. Bernard Kavoli, one of the 5 abductees released last week, went to church to thank God for his safe release, telling horror stories of his experience with kidnappers. Of course, that particular story, we can get it on page 3 of the Standard newspaper. And really remember, Bernard Kavoli was abducted with several others who have been released, that include Billy Mwangi and Kibet Bull and some few others, with others also still being not released, and their families pleading for the release of their kins. And we hope they will be released safe and sound. Moving on, Mbadi walks a tightrope as he proposes to increase budget to 4.3 trillion Kenya shillings. Treasury was laid down an ambitious budget. It hopes will not just be favorable to Kenyans, but also deliver the government's development agenda. However, increasing taxes will be met with a resistance, but the borrowing options are also limited. In the policy proposal, Cabinet Secretary John Mbadi thinks issuing bonds will be pennies to filing the holes. Of course, that story you can get it on page 4 and 5 of the Standard newspaper. Of course, let's take a look on what's making headlines on the Star newspaper dated today, the 17th of January. State House ghost workers exposed. Reports show civil service has over 17,000 ghost workers. Kenya Railways tops the list. Of course, let's take a look on that particular story on the State House ghost workers. That is on page 4 of the Standard newspaper. It continues to say the civil service has over 17,000 ghost workers benefiting from the taxpayers had earned cash, a news report reveals. The report by the Public Service Commission shows thousands of individuals on the payrolls of numerous national government agencies do not actually exist. State House for the second year, KBC and Kenya Railways are among the top perpetrators of this form of corruption. That's so alarming, having ghost workers. People are being paid, but they're not actually working. That's so alarming, and we hope they'll be brought to book. Moving on, keep off our pay, lawmakers want just vetted salary scheme. MPs on Thursday approved President William Ruto's nominees to the Salaries and Remuneration Commission and warned them not to meddle and reduce their pecs. The lawmakers complained that they are faced with many demands from their constituents and from their public engagements as they execute their mandate. The National Assembly voted to approve Sami Chepkwony as the chairperson. And of course, at the Star newspaper, on the forefront page, of course, there is a picture of Raila Odinga, who is bidding for the African Union Commission chairpersonship, and the South African president. The picture depicted there is Raila Odinga and South African president, that is Cyril Ramaphosa. And just right at the picture, there is a picture of Raila Odinga and Botswana President Duma Gideon Boko. That was on Thursday. Its headline says, Raila charms South Africa, Botswana in AUC vote hunt. And finally, man, a 32-year-old man stabs wife to death, kills himself at in-law's home. A 32-year-old man stabbed his wife to death and killed himself following a domestic quarrel at a home of his in-laws in Nandi County. The tragedy happened at Kiboreng village, Kemeloi location in Nandi South. Police found a written note on his body, which had a detailed plan on how he was to execute the murder of his wife. And of course, that particular story, we've taken a look at it on our news segment this particular morning. All right, at that note, news done, newspaper review done. We're going to take a short commercial break. When we come back, I'm having guests, stand-up comedians for that note. be having a conversation on what's really happening in the laugh industry. As at now, you don't want to miss that conversation. I'll be back in a moment.